All right, well, hello, YouTube fragrance community, my friends on Facebook, and everybody else who happens to be tuning into this video. I want to say thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I don't have a lot of opportunities to do these videos, but my wife and my kids are out of the house this evening, so I figured I would take advantage. And what I wanted to shoot today was not necessarily a full review, but kind of a first impression sort of video of a fragrance that I tried recently and really enjoyed. And as you know from the title, that is Coccobello by James Heeley, a French perfumer. So a while back on Fragrance Swap, one of the guys there was doing a split, and if you watch my decant video, you know that I totally support the idea of buying decants. So get 5 or 10 mils of something before you splash out on a bottle. And since what we're talking about today is a niche fragrance that's relatively expensive, that's a particularly good policy to try that. So anyway, he was doing a split of this, so I decided that I would go ahead and pick up 10 mils of it because now we're into summer. We're getting into a good time for some of these coconut type fragrances. Last year I learned that I really like I like some of those sunscreen type coconut lime fragrances. I had a department store sample of one last year that I bought a bottle of this year. Tom Ford Soleil Blanc. This is the EDP version. I really like this one. This is like a super expensive high-end sort of sunscreen thing. It's a little floral. It leans a little bit feminine, but man, I don't really care. So I like that one a lot. Then of course I have probably the most well-known of this particular genre, and that is, of course, Virgin Island water. And this is a batch from, I believe, 2010 that I picked up off a 4-ounce bottle from 2010 that I picked up off a fragrance group. So I've got that. In addition, the first ever bottle that I bought from Alexandria Fragrances. So this is from Hanny's company. This is Hawaii Volcano, which is his version of Creed's Virgin Island water. This one is so good. You don't necessarily have to go all out and buy the expensive bottle of Creed if you don't want to, because the Hawaii Volcano is really excellent. I also have this. This is also from Alexandria, and it's an original, but it's based off of the Hawaii Volcano DNA. It's called Hawaii Volcano Intense. Probably don't want to get into this now, but that's one that we talk about all the time on the Alexandria Facebook group because some people say there's a lot more lime in the Intense. I say there's a lot more coconut. But anyway, we'll leave that there. Won't discuss that now. I also have had a decant of Gorse by Laboratory Perfumes, which is another Virgin Island water clone or inspiration or whatever it is that you want to call it. So I really enjoy these fragrances, especially when the weather gets hot. That Hawaii Volcano is one that I wore on a regular basis for probably a couple months last summer. So getting back to this, when I saw that this was being split, I figured I'd go ahead and jump in just to check it out. You know, anything to check out a new coconut fragrance. And when I first got the decant in a little bottle, I sprayed it on my arm because that's what I do. I open my mail, and I'm usually so excited by whatever's there that I just put a shot on my arm so that I can immediately give it a test and see what it smells like. And this one, like my initial impression was a little underwhelming because I guess I was expecting big coconut, you know, like maybe even sweet or something like that. And that's not what I got from this fragrance. In fact, I didn't get a whole lot from the first spray of that of the decant. But after a little while, I started to notice that I would catch a whiff of coconut. So I would go back to my arm and I wouldn't smell anything. But if I got real close, I wouldn't smell anything. But if I got away a little bit, I was starting to catch that coconut. And it was really nice. And then I got very curious. I was like, how is this happening that if I'm right up on my arm trying to smell it, I can't. But if I back away, I'm catching exactly what I wanted to get, which is some coconut. So I haven't figured that out. When I went back to it later, it was a little bit different. It was a little more obvious from the beginning. I tend to think that when my bottle is coming straight off the mail truck and you know it's been in there all day and it's hot and I just get it right out and it hasn't adjusted to the temperature in the house or anything like that, maybe that isn't doing it any favor. So anyway, I sprayed this just a little while ago, to remind myself of it. And this one's interesting because at the beginning it's very green. So if you look at the notes on Fragrantica, it has palm leaf and gardenia as the top notes. And again, you catch a hint of the coconut under there, like it's absolutely there, but it's also very green, if that makes any sense, and maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't make sense if you haven't smelled something like this. So anyway, that makes it a little more subtle. It's a little softer, and the coconut is not like a total vacation that you've sprayed onto your body. It's much more subtle, but the green sort of burns away a little bit, and what you're left with is the coconut in the middle. Notes that are also there are sea salt and vanilla. So anything with vanilla in it, I'm all about. I don't really get the vanilla that much, but the coconut is absolutely there. And then on the dry down, we have cedar, benzoin, and sandalwood. So the cedar keeps it a little bit green, but the benzoin and the sandalwood soften it up quite a bit. So this is a really nice fragrance. I probably said that a bunch of times already, but I really like this one. So I did follow my rule and try a decant, but ultimately I decided that this was absolutely worth the whole bottle. But because I'm something of a bargain shopper, not as much of a bargain shopper as some friends I know, like my buddy Dan, who's in our Welcome to FragCon Facebook group, I did find this secondhand. But retail on this bottle, it's 100 ml. Retail is $180, I believe. You can get it at Lucky Scent. So that's obviously a little pricey, not super duper expensive, but more than I tend to want to spend on anything. So I found one that was brand new secondhand on a Facebook group for $100. So make sure you're checking out Facebook groups like Fragrance Swap, because you can always get stuff there. I also found a connection to pick this up for about $110. So one of the gray market guys on Facebook that you can talk to and buy these things from without going to a retailer and paying the full retail price. Highly recommend this fragrance. It's not going to be like a big projection monster. It's not going to be some kind of beast mode performance thing. And I think if you've watched reviews of other fragrances that James Heeley makes, you probably heard the same thing. Cell Marin is one, and there's another Mint Fresh or Malt Fresh, as he calls it. Those are both very light but wonderful fragrances. And that brings me to another thing that comes to mind when I think about this fragrance. This was one of the first times that I really started to grasp the idea of the quality of the ingredients, or what people are talking about when they bring up the conversation of a niche fragrance versus a designer fragrance. And everything about Coccobello is just smooth. It's even though it's a very subtle fragrance, it screams quality. It smells amazing. There's absolutely no harshness. There's nothing that comes across as synthetic, and I understand that synthetic is one of those things that a lot of people toss around, and it maybe doesn't even have that much meaning, if we're being perfectly honest. But in this case, I think it does. Like when I wear some of my designers, or if I'm testing something out, there's like this gritty kind of characteristic in the base that comes through every once in a while. Like I'm wearing a designer today. I'm wearing in the navy, which is a really nice Le Male flanker, but it has that kind of grittiness, and maybe it's like the ambroxan sort of note that's bringing that out. This has none of that. It's quality. It's 100% smooth, and again, a nice subtle coconut. I wore this to work, or to a staff meeting, and I was catching whiffs of it all day and all through that meeting. And it's just a really calming, pleasing fragrance. So as a first impression, and I'll be wearing this one more as the weather gets warm, I really, really highly recommend that you check this out. Like, if you can get your hands on a sample or get your hands on a decant of this, and you like those kind of coconut sunscreen sort of fragrances, which not everybody does, I definitely think you should check this one out. And otherwise, you should check out other stuff from James Heeley, because he's doing a fantastic job. Everything that I've come across of his is high quality and worth taking a look at. So that is my first impression, not full review, but a pretty basic review of Coccobello Eau de Parfum by James Heeley. Now, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to join the Welcome to Fragcom group, because we are in there every day sharing our scent of the day. We're talking about, fragrances, talking about houses that we like. If you're newer to fragrances, that's exactly what the group is for. There's a lot of people in there that are more than willing to help, but it's just a really nice community. I'll link it in the description to the video, and I hope that you can join us there. So thanks so much, and I will see you next time.